From spies to arms dealers to special operators and intelligence officers, one Swiss luxury watch brand appears again and again, and that brand is Breitling. In this video, we'll explore why sketchy dudes wear Breitling. Welcome to the Watches of Espionage YouTube channel, where we'll discuss the intersection of watches and the military, intelligence, and national security. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be informed when we release new videos. With that out of the way, let's explore what it means to be sketchy.
Look at that, Watches of Espionage right there. Yep, sketchy people wear Breitlings.
What is that about?
I don't know, it just became a thing.
I like Breitlings. Do you think sketchy people know and they're doing it on purpose?
I think they do.
Really?
It's kind of a thing.
Watches of Espionage is vehemently brand agnostic. The watches we cover are dictated by the community, and one brand that consistently pops up is Breitling. There are few truths in the world of intelligence, but one of them is sketchy dudes wear Breitling. Before the Breitling fan clubs take out their pitchforks and start a bonfire, we want to be clear that this phrase is neither a commendation nor a criticism. It's an observation that, while it remains relevant today, particularly applies to the 1990s and 2000s, when Breitling was the adventure watch for unapologetic men, focused on aviation and diving. Breitling was a signal that the wearer is adventurous, but also appreciates fine craftsmanship and utilitarian tools. While likely an unintended consequence of marketing watches as tools for professionals, the brand developed an almost cult-like following in the national security community, with both good and bad actors. Breitling watches can be found on the wrists of many gray area operators, from CEO of Blackwater Eric Prince's Breitling Emergency, former Soviet arms dealer Victor Bout's Breitling B1, and director of CIA George Tenet's Breitling Aerospace. When Leonardo DiCaprio played Danny Archer, a former Rhodesian smuggler turned mercenary in the movie Blood Diamond, he wore a Breitling Chrono Avenger. All of these men are sketchy, some good sketchy, some bad sketchy, but sketchy nonetheless. Breitling SA was founded in 1884 by Leon Breitling and passed down through his bloodline until 1979, when the brand was purchased by Ernest Schneider, a professional soldier turned watch executive. Under the leadership of Ernest and later his son, Theodore Schneider, an aviation enthusiast and helicopter pilot, Breitling found its niche manufacturing tools for professionals, developing several partnerships with military aviation units, including the Frecciai Tricolori, the aerobatic team of the Italian Air Force. While collectors value several vintage Breitling references, several analog digital models cemented Breitling's role as a leader in producing practical tool watches built for adventure. While we are certainly biased, the Breitling Aerospace maintains legendary status in our community because at its core, it is a highly functional tool. The dual digital screens of the chronometer-certified Super Quartz have practical features including a digital chronograph, a second time zone, day and date, an alarm, and a countdown timer. The combination of a well-finished titanium case and bracelet with traditional analog hands results in a robust piece that can be worn to a black-tie dinner in Mayfair or the cockpit of a caravan on a dirt strip in Mozambique. The Aerospace was introduced in 1985, more than a decade after the quartz crisis, where many consumers moved to cheaper, more accurate timepieces, resulting in a dramatic decline in the mechanically driven Swiss watch industry. As previously documented, I was gifted a Breitling Aerospace with a gold royal crown of Jordan on the dial from King Abdullah bin al-Hussein, and I wore it for much of my career while operational in the CIA. The Aerospace's technical complications were legitimately useful for conducting clandestine operations, where time matters. While the Aerospace as we knew it was quietly discontinued, the recent release of the updated but likely limited Aerospace B70 Orbiter indicates more is on the horizon for one of the brand's sketchiest model families. Perhaps the best example of Breitling's legendary tool watch status is the Breitling Emergency. Developed in 1995 in partnership with French aviation manufacturer Dassault Electronique.
I want to ask you about the BW Breitling watch.
I had 150 of these made and given to key keep people in the company, and it was kind of my promise to them that wherever they are, we'll come for them if they're in trouble. But it broadcasts on 121.5 International Guard frequency, so any commercial aircraft is going to have a radio tuned to this, and it beeps out SOS.
I don't know, but that one has the emergency beacon on it right there. So see that big thing
so
on the
if
bottom,
you get in trouble,
right?
you pull that sucker out, right?
You have to sign something that says, I think it says something, you like pay for the rescue if you do it.
In an emergency, the wearer unscrews the cap at 4 o'clock and extends a thin wire antenna which automatically activates the signal. Commercial and military aircraft monitor the frequency and can alert search and rescue teams of an individual's location anywhere in the world. The watch was specifically marketed to the military and aviation sectors and, according to Breitling, has been used to rescue individuals, including an incident in 1997 when a reed boat was blown off course while sailing from Easter Island to Australia. The Breitling emergency would go on to be favored by those who operated on the fringe of non-permissive environments, including several specialized aviation units, Blackwater personnel, and former SAS turned African mercenary Simon Mann. Today, the Breitling emergency is still available at a massive 51mm diameter and complete with dual-frequency distress beacons at 121.5 megahertz and 406 megahertz, both of which are monitored through the International Cospas Sarsat system and based on a network of satellites in low-altitude Earth orbit known as LEOSAR. We have covered modern unit watches extensively, and much of what we see today implemented by Tudor, Bremont, IWC, and others was originally pioneered by Breitling in the 1990s and 2000s. This was a core aspect of Breitling's sketchiness, and the close relationship between Breitling and several elite units made it a prized possession for many operating at the tip of the spear. While originally focused on aviation unit squadron watches, Breitling branched out to special operations forces, including Delta Force and the British Special Air Service in the early 2000s. Breitling's customization program was not limited to the military or governments, but extended to commercial entities. In 2010, Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich commissioned 50 Breitling Super Ocean automatics with Eclipse on the dial, the name of one of his 533-foot super yachts. Pretty sketchy if you ask me. Breitling's sketchiness also extends to the silver screen, with several WOE characters wearing the legendary tool watches in major Hollywood productions. In Blood Diamond, Danny Archer, a Rhodesian smuggler and ex-mercenary, embarks on a hair-raising adventure to find a large diamond amid the Sierra Leone Civil War. Leonardo DiCaprio's character wears a Breitling Chrono Avenger with a black dial and a solid titanium 44mm case on a brown calf leather strap. A Rhodesian mercenary turned diamond smuggler is the very definition of sketchy, so this watch is on point. The movie takes place in 1999 when Breitling was at the height of its sketchiness and was a go-to tool for gray area operators and real mercenaries. While Bond is known for Rolex and Omega, several other brands have graced the wrist of the world's most famous spy. In 1965's Thunderball, Sean Connery was outfitted with a Breitling top time that Q modified to include a Geiger counter to track down missing nuclear warheads. As sketchy as it gets. Breitling was featured in Point Break on the wrist of bank robber Surf Bro Bodie, portrayed by the late Patrick Swayze. The Breitling Navitimer Quartz is shown in the scene leading up to a specific robbery where Bodie ceremoniously declares,
"Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll."
Very sketchy indeed. The past few years have seen massive changes for Breitling. In the early 2000s, the brand prospered in an era defined by massive case diameters and a masculine customer base. However, in many ways galvanized by the release of the Tudor Black Bay in 2012, the industry began to shift in favor of vintage-inspired styling, more attainable in-house calibers, and restrained dimensions. Breitling was admittedly slow to catch up, but has made impressive improvements in its direction and product offering since being acquired in 2017 and appointing industry veteran George Kern as CEO. While some enthusiasts still take issue with some of Breitling's price points or styling, it's clear the brand is moving in the right direction in 2024, jumping from its 2017 $950 million acquisition price to a 2022 valuation of $4.5 billion. The brand's recent acquisition of Universal Genève is another intriguing development. It's unclear what Breitling will do with the enthusiast favorite vintage name, but we're excited to see where it goes. The question then becomes, is the kinder, gentler Breitling of today as sketchy as it once was, especially as the brand enjoys a broader appeal and newfound level of mass market success? Yes and no. The brand's long-standing military unit watch program is still active, but appears to have waned, leaving the door ajar for brands like Breitling and Tudor. Producing military-specific personalized watches is likely not a key driver of revenue, but it is a central aspect of what has made Breitling one of the watches of choice for sketchy dudes. While we are supportive of these changes at Breitling, and the strategy is clearly working, we hope the brand will continue to be inspired by its roots producing tool watches for those that operate on the fringes of sketchiness. With rumors of a new incoming aerospace, a model family with no shortage of appeal to our community, our fingers are crossed for a return to Breitling's established level of sketchiness. We hope it's true. Thank you for watching our first video. Subscribe to our channel for even more watches and sketchy individuals. And be sure to check out our website, watchesofespionage.com, for more content, as well as our collection of watch straps and other purpose-built tools designed for our community. Until next time, happy hunting.